my tremolo bar. Hey, thank you for tuning in to another episode of my channel where I teach on conceptual ways to learn the electric guitar. If you've been following my channel over the last few weeks, I've been on a chord kick, if you will. By the way, good time for me to remind you to please don't forget to like and subscribe. As I started off this series on chords, I've gone through a concept that's unique to me, proprietary as far as I know. I call it chord mining. It's a unique way to learn chords. I highly recommend you check it out. I ended up doing that in 3 parts. And it's a way that teaches you to play chords through a method that looks similar to how we learn scales when we learn lead guitar. It's an exploratory method. It helps you discover chords you would not otherwise discover, and it helps you to play chord melody. So as I've been on this chord kick, in my last video, by the way, I did a brain dump on chords. That's a good one for you to check out too. Today, what I want to talk to you about is something I alluded to in my last video. It's called Quartal voicings. Now, maybe I should call them Quartal chords. What they are is normally chords are built in thirds. So like a C major chord would have 3 notes at least in it, and those notes would be C, E, and G. And those notes are all in intervals of thirds. What I'm going to show you today are chords that are built from fourths instead. And these are cool chords that you heard like in the beginning intro section where I'm playing. Those chords you heard me playing are all quartals. They're stacked fourths. So it's a pretty easy concept. Let's get into it. So I'm going to stay the key of C, which I often do just so that the music theory is easier. We don't have to think in terms of sharps and flats, which that's less of an advantage on the guitar because the sharps and flats look exactly like naturals on a guitar fretboard. That's more valuable if you're a pianist, but in case you want to think about the theory, that's one reason why I do that a lot. So we're going to stick to that and stay in the key of C. And what I want to do is play one of these quartal voicing chords. And really I'm playing more than I wanted to. Let's do it from the 4th string. Okay, I could have done it. As you can see, I can do it from the 5th string. So I'm going 4th string down. And I'm in a key of C, starting on that F, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm just jumping up the C major scale, by the way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And as what I'm going to do, then, so I'm stacking fourths, and I'm going to move these up in the key of C. That should be something familiar to you if you watch my tackling intervals video or the stuff on chord mining. I talk about how the power of intervals and then using them to build chords is to keep them within keys. Even if you're just playing intervals to play lead guitar, by the way, and not trying to build bigger chords. You want to learn how to play intervals within keys, like 6s, run those up and down in the key of C major, or thirds. So we're going to do that we're doing that with fourths. And these are stacked fourths. So one, from here to here's a 4, from there to there's 4, and there to there's a 4, okay? And what that looks like as we move up the fretboard in a key of C major again. Whoops. I bumped my string off the fret. Like that. These are really neat. They're modern. They're really modern sounding chords. And that's what I like about them. They're not as traditional sounding as which are nice chords. But so something like that where you're hearing. So you're hearing them, I'm playing them mostly and actually exclusively right now over 4 strings. Whoops. I could have played them over 3 instead. Like now you're hearing me just play 2nd, 3rd, and 4th strings. Whoopsie, I forget. Every once in a while I have a brain fart on these. I don't find the lower strings sound as good because the fourths start to get muddy. Especially if you're lower on the guitar. That's why I'm not very good at them. I had to think about them. Whoops. That's why you're seeing me like play them slowly. Let's see. Yeah, really bad at them, sorry. Guess those aren't horrible. I should probably practice those a little more, but I've just showed you the whole concept in a way, but I got a couple other things to really open these up. First thing I want to show you about how to use these, and one of the things I found really valuable about them, sometimes I'll go to jazz jams. I haven't done this in a long time, but I'll go to a jam and they'll be playing, it's usually open invites, and they'll be playing classics, usually stuff out of the real book. I am more familiar with that stuff, but I don't know it as well as a lot of jazz heads do. So what I found I can do is, if I know that the song or a portion of the song is in one key, if I know what that key is, I can just jump up and down with these chordals, and I don't have to worry about the chord progression. If somebody else is covering the chords, or even if there's just like a bass that's covering it, there's a drum section and maybe a vocal, I can play those, and I can't play a bad note. So I'm going to demonstrate that for you. I got a loop set up here, and we're going to play. It's a 6-1 or 6-3-2-5-1 chord progression, which is a very common chord progression for jazz. It's in the key of C, and while the progression's going on, you're just going to hear me by ear move up and down within the key of C major using these Quartal chord voicings. Just check it out. So that's the idea. You imagine a song like, All the Things You Are is going by. All the way up to that, it's straight in the key of F minor, which is A flat minor, and then it switches to key of C. So now that I'm in a key of C, it's then a modulation. I would change my chordal voicings over top of this to be from A flat major to, which is really, as I said, F minor, to C major, and then it goes to C minor. So it has a lot of modulation until you get to that D chord. I would be playing that section in the key of C minor / E flat. I'd just be running those chordals up and down. So even though that song's more complicated, and it's a fun one to really learn if you want to get into jazz, just because it helps you learn those chord progressions and modulations and helping you to play over them. I'm going to do some instructionals on jazz, so we'll get there. But you just play the chordals in the key, and you don't have to get locked into what's the chords, what's the chord, what's the next chord. You just think key. So that's really valuable. These chordal voicings, or chordal chords, I should probably use that word instead of chordal voicings. But that's what they are, they're chordal voiced chords. They're very modern sounding, as I said before, so they get us out of those traditional voicings a little bit. But they're also, I just want to show you a little bit of analysis on them, because I think this is interesting. Hopefully you will too. I'm going to go back to that first one I played. And this looks like, if you know your jazz chords, you should recognize this looks like an outline. If I was to add a G bass, it's a G13, okay? A lot of times I'll play the 13 chord, the G13, and not care about that 9 on top, by the way. just muting the first string. But you can play it either way. Either way, these are stacked fourths, okay? The bass note is not necessarily it's not a stacked fourth, that's a 7. We don't care. We're just talking about there's the stacked fourths, I added a G. Now, I can take this G and move it to a tritone, which is a D flat. Now, what's a tritone? If you don't know what a tritone is, tritones are magic in jazz. But what a tritone is, it's a flat fifth. So that's a fifth. And you can visualize a fifth, it's a power chord. Like we play or power. Right? That's a power chord. There's a 1, there's a 5. A flat 5's there. So what I'm going to do is move the bass note to there and play and keep these all the same. So instead of there, bass note adjacent string from 3rd fret to 4th fret, and now I have a D flat, and it's a D flat sharp 9. That's the Jimi Hendrix chord. If I want to add the first string note in there, back in there, D flat 7 sharp 5 flat 9. No wait, other way around. D flat 7 sharp 9 flat 5. I think that's a sharp 5. Okay, I'll get it. Sharp 5 sharp 9. D flat 7 sharp 5 sharp 9. Let me test that. Yep, that's what it is. I obviously don't. When I play that chord, that Hendrix chord, I almost always mute that first string, so I had to think about that. But these are substitutes, and my point is a quartal, it's an outline. It's a partial of a larger chord, and because it's partial, it's also ambiguous, meaning, we can think of it as G in G13, or we can think of it as D flat 7 sharp 5 sharp 9. There, I said it faster. It's really either one. You might think, well, how do I think about it? I don't normally think about it like that when I'm just playing chordals up and down. So you don't necessarily have to, but if you want to analyze it, it's context. Context is king. So it depends on what the music's doing, what the bass note's doing, probably. So, all these chords are like that. Like if I go to the next chordal, this is an outline of a D. It's really a D minor 11. Really, technically, that 11, I'm calling that 11. It's a 4. But I could also tritone the bass note, and I got it's an A flat 13. Hear it? So I'm not going to go through all those, but you can do that, and that tritone movement with the bass line, that's a key. And when I do my video on tritone substitutions, that really kind of what I just did there almost unlocks the secret to tritone substitutions. So they're pretty cool. That's all I have for you today. I hope you find this useful. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you again for watching, and until next time.